A storm is brewing in Indian golf. There is strong resentment against the Indian Golf Union over the selection trials for the Asian Games later this year. The amateur golf governing body in the country is on the receiving end over the selection trials' timing and selection format. Hello, I am Rohit Bharadwaj and you are watching News 9 Sports Special, Indian Golf Union Stirs a Hornet's Nest. In this show, we will discuss the burning issue of the Asian Games selection trials currently underway at the Karnataka Golf Association course in Bengaluru. The Indian Golf Union had invited 37 aspirants for the 2022 Asian Games selection trials. The invitees included 20 professionals and 17 amateurs. However, only 10 shortlisted candidates were compelled to skip the event due to poor scheduling. Dubai-based duo Rayan Thomas and Arjun Gupta and US-based collegiate golfer Shubham Jaglan are among the top names who pulled out of the trials, and in the women's class, pros like Diksha Dagar and Riya Sarvanan couldn't join. Amateurs like Anika Verma, Khushi Huda, Sifat Shagu and Nishna Patel are also left out. We also speak to Diksha Dagar earlier today. Their international rankings have assured Anirban Lahiri and Shubhankar Sharma guaranteed places for the Asian Games. The rest are battling it out for the remaining two berths. Tokyo Olympics sensation Aditi Ashok and Ladies European Tour regular Tuesha Malik have already made the cut by virtue of their international rankings. Only one position remains open for other contestants. To further elaborate on the subject, I am joined by 1982 Asiad gold medalist Rishi Narayan and former IGU Director General Arun Singh. Hi.
Hi Rohit. Hi Rohit.
Hello. Gentlemen, the timing and the new rules have put IGU in a spot of bother. Arun, you have been part of the amateur body. So, if you can elaborate as to what is the issue like and what needed to be done actually.
Rohit, I think firstly, let's start with the headline. I think when you say IGU stirs a hornet's nest, I think everyone down the line is also responsible for whatever is happening. Ultimately, for the Asian Games, the entries are provided by Indian Olympic Association. So I wonder what their involvement is. And while Ministry of Sports is technically not supposed to be involved into the politics of sports or involved in the functioning of Indian Olympic Association, the fact of the matter remains that entries are ultimately subject to the government approval because of the finances and other formalities involved. So to that extent, I think everyone should take certain amount of collective responsibility for the failings or the success. It cannot be, something which is left at the carpet. Having said that, I personally believe that since the time golf made an entry into the Olympic sport, the Indian International Olympic Committee and International Golf Federation, who are the governing bodies of Olympics and the golf per se, and everyone, the Indian Olympic Association is affiliated to International Olympic Committee. Olympic Council of Asia, which is organizing the Asian Games, is also affiliated to the International Olympic Committee. The charter is very clear. Everything has to be run as per the Olympic Charter. International Golf Federation is the real governing body for golf for international competition completely, including the International Amateur Championships. They are held under the aegis of International Golf Federation. Correct. Now, for the Olympics, International Olympic Committee and International Golf Federation did come out with a very fair, very transparent criteria, which does not require any rocket science to understand. It takes your rankings into account. And I don't think we should have tried to tinker with it. As far as amateurs are concerned, if you give certain examples that amateurs are permitted primarily to accommodate countries which do not have a culture of professional golf as such. So, because golf is still unequal in the world, and it is definitely unequal in Asia. So you can have a country like Iraq or Saudi Arabia or Nepal, which does not have enough professional golfers. So in order to let them participate, you let the amateurs take part. But in case enough professionals are available, I mean, let me also get back to another point on the same thing. Golf, like other sports, has progressed to become professional. So the Olympic movement itself is now a professional sports. I mean, you take Usain
Correct.
Bolt or anyone else for that matter. People who were not professionals could not participate earlier, but you take football, I mean, under 23 professionals are allowed. Everyone in every sport, the professionals are allowed. Because if you really want a spectacle in the world in any sport today, you got to have professionals there. And if you take golf as an example, anyone who's young, who's learning the golf, who's developing into a golfer, remains amateur, and at the
Yeah,
first opportunity when they reach a level of excellence, they
yeah,
turn
Arun, if you
pro.
could
So
hold
there's no
on.
two ways about it. The professionals will make better competitors. And
Correct,
for
correct.
any country which has got enough depth in
So
professional
just
golf,
to interrupt you,
it will be
if you
very
can
easy.
ask, if you can ask Rishi also. Rishi, you have been a golfer first, and do you feel that golfers have got a raw deal here?
Uh, it's not an easy thing, Rohit. It's selecting a team like this is quite complicated because you've got professional golfers competing on different tours all over the world,
Yeah,
and even amongst the amateurs, the problem is the amateurs and the professionals don't share a common ranking system. So
correct.
there's that imbalance. And then even for the women, you've got a pretty decent domestic professional circuit in India with 14, 15 tournaments. But those girls who excel on the domestic circuit don't earn world ranking points. So it's difficult for you to measure how their ranking compares, with the girls who are playing internationally, like Twessa and Aditi. So it's quite a difficult job for the Indian Golf Union, I would say, in the beginning to try and balance all these things out. But yes, there are bound to be people who feel they've got shortchanged. On the other hand, some of the people may be feeling delighted that they've been given an opportunity to try, because normally you wouldn't have these amateurs with a chance to compete against the pros. I mean, technically, the objective should be very clear. We want to send the best team, right? The team who can have the best chance of getting a medal. I mean, that's the bottom line. So in today's world, at least in the men's area, there's no comparison in the quality really between the Indian top professionals and the amateurs. I mean,
Yeah,
the scores and the trials are going to bear that out, and I think that's pretty much a well-known fact. In the women's, it's a little bit less clear because in India we currently have one or two amateurs like Avani Prashant who are really knocking on the door of international stardom. And even though the amateurs, Avani is leading the qualifier, and therefore it would have been maybe shortchanging her if she wasn't given a chance to have this qualifying. So there's a lot of different things to balance, but yes, it's tough. I think one of the shortcomings is that the Indian Golf Union is not reimbursing any expenses to travel and play in this trials, which I think is inherently unfair. Having been a player in the past myself, I mean, as it is, these players are spending all their own money to travel and play all
yeah.
the national and international tournaments. They do it out of their own expense, pretty much.
But do you
And
feel,
then when you're called for trials, you should at least be given your hotel and airfare,
yeah, but do
because
you
all
feel
the
the
youngsters.
scheduling was not correct? Like they could have actually spoken to individuals and got their availability, like somebody like a Rayan Thomas and Arjun
Yeah.
Gupta not being part of it, like the top amateurs not being part of it. I don't know, understand what is this
Yeah.
trial for? Like if you don't get the best amateurs to compete here in
Yeah.
this trial, and IGU has been totally ignorant, I guess, if you
Yeah,
what
it's,
would like to
also,
say.
I mean, really for a minute, let's leave aside the amateurs. You don't even have guys like Gaganjeet Bhullar and Shiv Kapoor. Obviously, Gaganjeet Bhullar and Shiv Kapoor, Gaganjeet has 10 wins on the Asian Tour. To call him for a trials like this, he's probably not really interested, because if you really wanted to go about sending the best team, you could probably just, pick Gaganjeet and Shiv and finish it off, right? I think their record on the international field is speaks for itself. But then there would be a lot of protests from the players who play domestically and earn world ranking points playing on the domestic circuit. Uh, Shiv and Gaganjeet earn most of their points playing internationally, and as we all know, playing internationally is a very different ball game than playing on the domestic circuit. But you're giving a fair chance to the guys on the domestic circuit. For the amateurs, you could have done it a little later in the summer once college was out. I think all these guys, Shubham, Rayan, they're all playing college golf in America. Probably they still got commitments there. You could do it in May, June. I mean, the Asian Games are only in September. So there was no tearing hurry to finish this in April, because current form matters a lot. And what's going to happen in the next 2-3 months could, people's world rankings could jump up. You could have done a cutoff 30 days before, something like that.
Arun,
So
would you like to comment?
There's a lot of variables, but a lot of homework is required. And I don't think there's anybody equipped at the Indian Golf Union, I'm being very honest, who's going to do this homework.
Yeah, Arun, would you like to comment on this? About the scheduling part?
Yes, I think I completely agree with Rishi on two things. One is it's difficult for Indian Golf Union or for anyone else to equalize amateurs and professionals. But the way the game has grown in the world and in India also, it is, I think, too fanciful to think that amateurs will make better competitors than professional golfers. I mean, if you have Diksha Dagar winning on the European Tour, Ladies European Tour a number of times, going to the Olympics, doing well in many, many competitions, not only her form, it's also about her experience, which will count. You can have a shining star, a young golfer, it could be boy and girl, who may make it on the trials. But will a trial of a week-long trial negate the consistent performance over 1 year, 2 year, 3 year? I doubt it. Will you drop Virat Kohli from the team just because he's scoring 3 consecutive ducks? I don't think so. Similarly, going in the same vein, what Rishi made a very pertinent point about the money. When you do not schedule, when you create a situation where people have to pay their expenses, they're professional golfers who are abroad competing for a livelihood. To expect them to give up their livelihood to come for a trial and go by the rhetoric of playing for the country, etc., is, I think, being a bit too rich. Similarly, for the amateurs, it's the reverse which is the problem. Correct. The amateurs, as it is, are having a tough time playing a long circuit where they miss school, miss college.
But do you think both the gentlemen? Do you think that? Do you think that in that case, like it's not a level playing field? Like, isn't it unfair on the amateurs to play against the pros? Like, if you already have, especially 2 slots already reserved for pros, then why give pit them against the amateurs in the trials? Why not get the best amateurs to play together and then the best amateur compete and get a spot? Don't you think so?
Yes, there is a dichotomy. Rishi, you want to take it?
Yeah, Rohit, again, coming back to the fact that you need to send the best team. It's not about reserving a spot for the amateurs or the amateurs deserve. India deserves to send the best team with the best chance to win a medal. So in that respect, I would say that, you should just go with professional players. Amateurs will get that chance when they turn pro. The Indian Golf Union should have just dropped the amateurs and just gone with professional players.
Correct.
Yes, and I think, Rohit, you also make another useful point. The fact is, when you're having a trial, firstly, let me say that I'm not exactly in consonance with this kind of trial, pitting young amateurs against experienced professionals. But even if you were to do trials, then the trials have to be open for everyone. Then you should also call Anirban Lahiri for a trial. You should also call Aditi Ashok for a trial. If it's only a question of having a performance over the week, then maybe some amateur will have a hot streak and will beat them.
Correct.
But Rishi knows it better. Rishi is a
Avni
former
Prashant already did that.
Medalist.
If I may add, Avni Prashant already did that. Being an amateur, she shot 64 yesterday. So obviously she is in the limelight. But we as News9 Sports, we also tried to reach out to the IGU and speak to them and ask them to be part of this debate. But obviously they don't want to speak about this on a public platform, which is, I don't know, like they want to address this issue directly with the parents and the golfers directly. So that is another thing which Arun, you might agree or disagree with this.
No,
if you might say.
I think you should see their practical difficulty, Rohit.
Yeah.
The practical difficulty, they come and say something here on record, and then they can be quoted, and people can, you know, quote and misquote them. So I think they're just trying to play safe. I would go with that.
Agreed, agreed. I think it's difficult to put them on the spot.
Though,
but yes, I think.
Rohit, having said that, I'm a big believer in transparency. So if you believe something, you might as well come out in the open.
So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, please, Rishi, if you could speak. Yeah.
No, I mean, this is a separate discussion, but definitely more, more communication, open transparency, as Arun just mentioned, is the need of the hour. A lot of parents and a lot of people who, because this is also a matter of concern. This kind of, inconsistency and controversy is not good for the morale of young players who are trying to, chart out their future and try to wonder what is in store for them going forward. And if the national bodies are not very clear with their policies and their principles and justifying their actions, then it leaves a lot of uncertainty with the parents. I know I talk to a lot of parents of, the top young amateurs and juniors these days. I'm in touch with a lot of the pros, and there's so much uncertainty. They don't know, what the future holds for them as players. But that, like I said, that's a separate discussion. The communication policy of the Indian Golf Union, I don't think they really have a communication policy, and they don't have a communication person. So it's a neglected thing amongst all sports federations, not that the Indian Golf Union, So that's just the way things are, unfortunately.
Correct. Thank you, gentlemen, for taking out your precious time. The Indian Golf Union, as the National Federation for Amateur Golf, is in charge of sending the names for 2022 Asian Games in Hangzhou this September. The trials, if at all, should have been reserved only for the amateurs, as the top 2 pros in both men's and women's sections have their places reserved for the Asian Games. There should have also been consideration for somebody like Diksha Dagar and what she had to say. Hope this avoidable controversy will not affect India's quest to end the 12-year medal drought for an Asian Games medal in golf. India's last Asiad medal in golf was a team silver at the 2010 Guangzhou Games. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe News9 Sports on social platforms. Thank you.